one.
Good afternoon and warm welcome to all participants in this Mission Ocean and Water session, which is devoted to Danube River Lighthouse. You may question what is the lighthouse, and we'll explain later, but now we know that Danube is the longest river of Europe. It starts in German Schwarzwald, the Black Forest, and it goes through 10 European countries and goes into the Black Sea. So it's really a strategic, historical, geographical, economic, all kinds of artery of Europe. Very, very important vessel of our continent. And it has a rich and unique ecosystem all along its length. But because of the civilization, because of what we have built here, it has severe pressures, which affects Danube today. And that's why the protection of environment and its biodiversity is high on political agenda of all the countries that it goes through. This is very much also one of the priorities of the Mission Ocean and Waters, and we'll be focusing on our discussions on that today. To begin, we have an honor and pleasure to have Minister of Romania of Research, Innovation and Digitalization, Mr. Sebastian Ioan Burduja. And it's very, very good that we have you here, because your engagement in protecting Danube River and your support to the Mission Ocean and Waters is a good example, it's a really excellent example of leading by example. And we look forward to having all ministers and key stakeholders to join you on board and join us on board on that. Minister Burduja, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure and honor to be together. I apologize for the setting. I am unfortunately not on the banks of the Danube. That would be a lot more enjoyable right now. We are running back and forth. We have a government meeting today in a short time, so thank you for bearing with me. As I share these brief thoughts, to us, it's such a critical topic. It's a topic that's part of our DNA. We're very proud of the Danube. I think its longest portion runs through Romania, and one of the best areas, and if you haven't visited, you have to, is the Danube Delta, where the Danube flows into the Black Sea. So thank you for putting this on the agenda for decision makers, and thank you to Commissioner Maria Gabriel for all her work on this topic. First of all, I'm very pleased to note the focus on missions at the European level. Obviously, Mariana Mazzucato's book, Mission Economy, has played such an important role in defining this idea. I think it dates back from the effort to set very high goals, such as putting a man on the moon and then delivering on them using many different innovations and resources and outputs of new research. So I applaud it, and we're very happy that one of those missions is for ocean and waters. And of course, we're very proud to note that the 5 Horizon Europe missions were part of the framework program negotiations that were finalized during the Romanian presidency of 2019. So I think we come full circle, and we're very proud to contribute to this mission. So, you know, in the mission of waters and oceans, obviously including the river may seem like not the most obvious choice to some, but the Danube is no ordinary river. It is the most important one in Europe, and certainly the most important one in Romania. We also look at the river continuum concept that is used today for the environmental assessment of rivers. And of course, this describes the fact that the whole ecosystem is integrated. And we cannot talk about cleaner, better oceans and waters without talking about the Danube. I also want to point out that it's important in this exercise to identify research and innovation needs for the Danube specifically as an integral part of this ecosystem, to explain what it means to observe data, what kind of data we need, and of course, importantly, you cannot manage what you don't measure. So there's an important research, observation, statistical analysis component to this, and an agreement on what it means to assess the Danube ecosystem and the Black Sea ecosystem within this overall mission. I know there's some excellent lessons to be learned from river restoration case studies. I know the River Wiki, funded through the Environment Agency in the UK, which is an interactive source on over 1,400 river restoration schemes from around 31 countries. And I also know that the European Center for River Restoration has a whole range of good examples of successful restoration projects. I also want to note to the whole restoration community, meaning basically legislators, agencies, scholars, practitioners, citizen groups, on the need to define a new common criteria, if you will, to restore the restoration framework and have new criteria for defining and assessing ecological success in restoration. I do note also that at the international level, we have new standards for restoration, and we should follow those, which show measurable improvement that we can track. I also note that many measures were indeed implemented with the Danube River Basin Management Plan between 2015 and 2021. And all this can be done with the support of the European Union. This is why, for many different reasons, some strategic, some related to policies, some related to simply our national commitment to making the Danube better, we are fully committed as a country, and in the name of the government, of the Romanian government, let me say that we are fully committed to the Danube Lighthouse project and to contributing to this very, very important mission. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I commend you for approaching this very important topic, and we are standing by for any support we can provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Yes, we appreciate that you yourself being on the go, on the run probably, to your government meeting, where we wish you all the best. But thanks also for your commitment that you have just pledged to us, because this is absolutely important to get this trigger going through other countries that are connected like pearls along the chain in the Danube, and to really trigger the movement and the attention to this, because we need everybody really to work on that. So thank you very much. We wish you all the best, and we'll be looking forward to cooperating with you, with your government and Romanian society in general.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll only add one last thing. I think it's an interesting idea. We're working on actually connecting the schools that are all across the Danube and involving our students and pupils in collecting data related to the state of the Danube River. So it's an idea for citizen level science and for involving our young ones. So hopefully that resonates with the other decision makers as well. Thank you once again.
Absolutely fantastic idea, and thanks for this. Absolutely inspiring. Great. Thank you. So with this, I would like to open the other part of the discussion with the panelists. But before I do this, let me recall that European Union missions are now a new way to bring innovative solutions to some of the greatest global challenges. And restoration of our oceans and our waters is one of them. Mission Ocean and Waters is structured around 3 policy objectives, and also, as the Minister said, we need to be able to measure that, and that's precisely why we have targets and why we have focus here. We also have enablers that are aligned to priorities of European Union Green Deal. And these policy objectives are: 1, protection and restoration of marine and freshwater biodiversity and ecosystems; 2, prevention and elimination of pollution; and 3, building a sustainable, blue, carbon neutral circular economy. And to reach these objectives, Mission is also putting in place two enablers. One of them is digital ocean and water knowledge system. And second is public mobilization and citizen engagement, including citizen science, as Minister has just said. With implementation of the mission based on a strong regional dimension, that's where the Lighthouse concept comes in. These lighthouses are conceived as project portfolios for development and deployment and transformative innovative solutions in 4 sea and river basins: Atlantic and Arctic, Baltic and North Sea, Mediterranean and Danube River. And today our focus is on Danube River Basin and on the initiatives that will contribute to achieve the mission objective of restoring freshwater ecosystems and habitats. And one of the objectives, one of the numerical objectives that we have set out ourselves to achieve is a target of achieving at least 25,000 kilometers of free-flowing rivers in Europe in Danube Lighthouse. So if we get the Danube itself flowing free, it's already a tenth of that. But knowing how many tributaries are there, the effect would be a lot bigger. Now, it's really a huge task. And for that, we turn to wise people. And these are our esteemed panelists. Namely, we have Adrian Stanica, who is Director General in Romania National Institute of Marine Geology and Geoecology, Geo Ecomar. We have Barna Kovac with us here in studio. He is Counselor at Permanent Representation of Hungary, also Secretary General of BioEast, which is a central initiative for knowledge-based agriculture and forestry in bioeconomy. We have Igor Liska, technical expert for water quality at the International Commission for the Protection of Danube River. And last but not least, with us we have Teresa Geidel, who is researcher at Fresh Thoughts Consulting, an independent and forward-thinking policy consultancy, which provides support to decision-making and the implementation of environmental policies. I will ask each in turn to briefly give roughly around 3 minutes, well, desirably no more than 3 minutes, your inspiring views and reflections on initiatives in Danube River Basin. Afterwards, we should have some time for questions, and I would remind you that you can raise your questions and, in fact, vote on them in Slido. So our first speaker is Mr. Adrian Stanica. He's involved in many research and innovation projects, as well as one of them called Danubus, a pan-European research infrastructure which supports research and innovation activities which address the complexity of sea and river systems. Mr. Stanica, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. If you could put the PowerPoint on the screen, please. It would be great. It is anyway till the presentation starts running. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. It's a great honor to be here, and it's a great honor that the organizers selected GeoEcomar as one of the main actors. We are not the only one. There is a significant number of institutions, public and private, in the Danube wider area that can support the transformation of the plans and the ideals of the Mission Lighthouse into reality. So first of all, coming to what I have to say, there are a lot of results that have been gained in time, but there is even more to be done, and there are many projects running nowadays in order to deliver the evidence-based knowledge and data about the Danube. And GeoEcomar has been involved in 30 years efforts to understand the state of health of the lower Danube, Danube Delta and Northwestern Black Sea, starting from its first international cooperation program in '91 with the Jacques-Yves Cousteau team, continuing with projects in FP4, FP5, FP6, till current Horizon Europe projects as well. So we have been in the recent years behind the delivering of knowledge and data about the system. We have been working with different partners and authorities on delivering the evidence-based information needed for restoration. We have been working also by supporting with our research infrastructure. It's our river coastal research vessel Istros, which was the mothership for the 2013 ICPDR cruise from Germany to the Black Sea. Of course, we have had a regional coordinator and general coordinator role in a series of European research and innovation projects. And last but not least, we have been developing and implementing a concept to do research for proper management of river delta sea systems. This is absolutely crucial. If we want to solve problems, if we want to have healthy environments and productive environments, we must look at the definition of hydrographic basins and include in them the sea under the influence of the rivers. Next slide, please. So this is what we have been leading in the last decade. We have also been leading on how to make the Danube Black Sea system a true global lighthouse. So we have leading this European effort, the European initiative to develop a pan-European distributed research infrastructure dedicated to interdisciplinary research in river sea systems, Danubius RI. It's not about the Danube. The idea started from the Danube and went to support river sea systems worldwide. And we are 2 steps away from becoming an ERIC. Next slide, please. And we have been trying to work to reach sustainability and integrated management, successful integrated management that brings sustainability to the Danube Delta Black Sea system. We have been working in environmental reconstruction projects. We have been working with NGOs. We have been working with local river administrations, environmental administrations. We have been working with students, the general public, involving and trying to define plans together. We have also been working in integrating the strategic research agenda for the Black Sea through the DOORS project, where the inputs from the Danube have such an important role. Next one, please. And going through all the points, we do try to transform the mission into reality. We try to implement the charter through its main points, from research, knowledge, open access to fair principles, engage with citizens, bring in and build the critical mass, obtain success in the Danube Black Sea region, and use that success as inspiration in river sea systems worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanik. So clearly you've shown that in Danube and beyond Danube, but in its own catchment area, a lot of knowledge has been generated, a lot of activity has gone on there, and we need to keep going that. But for that, we need to have support from the member states and get their political commitment. And this is why I turn now to Barnett Kovac and maybe ask for his opinion how we can achieve that.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's an important question. And actually, yes, continuing on what exactly was said by the colleague from the Geomar, that up until now, in the Danube River, there were developed several projects, different projects, having different background, budgetary background. But what we can see and what is important and what is why we are welcoming the mission today, they are on one hand because the mission, it's trying to guide us not just behind as a research and innovation policy tool, but also linking other policies, linking here the markets and linking the society. We would like to engage all those, and if we want to engage all those aspects, then we need to think also not just in terms of projects, but a step above. We have to link into this the policy, science policy discussion. We need to link here the political level and prioritize also at political level the mission priorities. If we want to talk about restoration, pollution, economy, by economy I might say, then we need there more than just thinking on different projects. We need there also the political commitment from the member states. And perhaps that's my role here, and that's why I was invited here, because I'm representing the BIASed initiative, a BIASed initiative which stands for a governmental level initiative where we have 3 different levels in in a sense that ministries are discussing together. They are discussing at policy level. We have a political level, regularly meeting ministers on one hand on the framework of the Visegrad 4 countries, but also inviting other ministers and putting on that agenda the priority topics. That's a key, and that's what the BIAST can bring in. And moreover, the BIAST initiative also is established and put its bases on thematic working groups. We have 7 thematic working groups, and one of them is on freshwater. The thematic working group on freshwater based bioeconomy, led by the Czech Republic, Czech Ministry and Czech Institute. It could play an important role to play up the subject, not just at project level, but also at political level, to discuss the science policy discussion, to give a platform for science policy discussion. And I think that's the key here, to understand that we have a lot of different projects. We have even the Danube strategy region led by foreign ministries. But when I am going back home in Hungary, my country, but also in other Eastern European countries, when I'm talking to the Minister of Agriculture, when I'm talking, they are irrigation, Minister of Interior, they are water management, education, research, then the different ministries they have different agendas. They have clearly different priorities and short-term priorities. But what we can aim with the mission, and here I suppose the BIAST can help, long-term, mid-long-term priority setting, that bringing together those ministries and political level, because that's key here, to have a kind of cooperation between them, not just ad hoc based, but a long-term thinking. And here I see still a role for a strategic thinking between Commission, a macro-regional initiative, and why not also macro-regional different structures, initiatives, and the BIAST initiative. We still need there a kind of structures, policy support actions, because most probably we are still at the beginning of our way. And here is coming one of the uniqueness of this mission, bringing first time the topic of fresh water into the picture. And we are not talking just about Danube. We are basically talking about that the fresh water part of the research and innovation and then policies related with freshwater, it's coming in. The European freshwater issue, it's a key issue not just for the Danube, it will be also issue for the Baltic states, it will be also from north to south and from west to east up until so in this case we still need few support actions which can structure this discussion. We have to build up slowly, and hopefully by 2025 and then the implementation of the mission charter, we have those structures which we can combine and convey, and we have a clear lighthouse and a long-term strategy. So hoping this one, it can help the BIAST initiative. Thank you very much for asking.
Thanks for really doing that great summary of a major challenge here, which requires integration, holistic approach, and long-term thinking and vision. And very often, I fully agree with you, we don't have that time. And we have to be able to look beyond the political cycles that very often do not allow us to look through. For that, we need to have long-term, stable stakeholders who are engaged in this and who are here for a long time. And one of these organizations is International Commission for the Protection of Danube. And that's why we have Mr. Igor Liska with us, because, again, this commission is very important partner for the Mission Ocean and the waters, and their experience is very relevant and very precious both for the mission, but even more importantly for the Danube itself. Mr. Liska, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the nice compliments and also for inviting us to this beautiful event. And I would like to highlight a few examples of best practices. And for this, I would use the Danube River Basin Management Plan. This is the document which was already mentioned by the keynote speaker, Mr. Minister Burduja. And this document has been prepared by the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River with the view of improving the ecosystems of the Danube. I mean, in fact, in 2021 already the second update has been published. And if we look at the next slide, please, then we can see that for organic pollution, we could trace 60% reduction of the emissions of organic pollution from the agglomerations. This could be achieved thanks to the connection of 45 million people to the improved wastewater infrastructure, and in the next years, additional 26 million people will be connected to this improved wastewater infrastructure. If we look at that in terms of the money, then we speak about the investments through the last decade of about 28 billion euro. At the next slide, we can see the similar situation regarding the nutrient pollution. Next slide, please. Here, the emissions of the nitrogen were reduced by 30% and of phosphorus by 50% from point and diffuse sources. And again, this was possible thanks to addition of the nutrient removal step into the wastewater treatment technologies. And this was enabled for 35 million persons in the Danube River Basin. And through the ongoing or planned projects, additional 30 million people will have this nutrient removal in the near future. Again, in terms of money, we speak about 12 billion euro investments, but here we have to see also the 95 billion euro which were invested to support farmers and to finance the best management practices, because farming activities is the major or has the major impact in terms of nutrient pollution. At the next slide, we can see the situation concerning hazardous substances, how it has been improved. We have the emission inventory, we have the policy recommendations for effectively managing the hazardous substances pollution. And this, I would say, issue is more tricky than, for instance, with the nutrients, because nutrients are well-defined few substances, while the hazardous substances is the growing amount of toxic compounds which has to be dealt with. But also here, specific technologies for removing of hazardous pollutants from wastewaters have been introduced to about 30 wastewater treatment plants. At the last slide, I would like to focus on the hydromorphological alterations. And here, since 2009, 127 fish migration aids were completed, which enabled the longitudinal connectivity in the rivers, and this caused the improved migration of the fish population up and downstream. In addition, 58 river restoration projects have been implemented, and over 60,000 hectares of wetlands and floodplains were partially or fully reconnected. So all these measures, which I just demonstrated and can be viewed in the Danube River Basin Management Plan, led to tangible improvements of the situation in the ecosystems of the Danube River Basin. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this presentation, which clearly again shows how much has already been done and how much understanding of what the issues, what the troubles are, and what the solutions may be, which probably need to be scaled up at a lot higher level. But in order for us to know where we go next, we need to know where we are today. And this is why we have Teresa Geidel with us, who has undertaken analysis which is focused specifically on the Danube River. And in fact, for each basin, we have carried out a baseline study, that is the study where we take from the lighthouses from now, to identify the main challenges and what are the main actors. And that's why I would like to ask Teresa Geidel to provide an overview of the main outcomes of your analysis.
Yes, thank you so much. In terms of the next steps where the mission can help reach the targets that were outlined earlier, I think that the main things are to support the EU member states, but also neighboring countries and any kind of transboundary project teams, both in the proposal and in the implementation phase of restoration projects. And currently there are a lot of assessment and action gap still, both in meeting the targets of the Water Framework Directive as well as the Biodiversity Strategy 2030. And a lot of these gaps could technically be closed if we have more restoration projects in place, such as the different projects that Igor Liska just mentioned, going into restoring ecosystems and enhancing river quality. And now in this analysis of past and current restoration projects in the Danube, one of the things that was visible is that some of the project teams are struggling with the complexity of funding and sometimes extra costs that could not be anticipated beforehand. And just to give an example, perhaps, let's say that a project team is about to implement a restoration action, but realizes that the baseline and the geomorphological data of that specific area is not sufficient and maybe has some gaps or so, then they first have to take a step back in order to do their own baseline and more or less take the data from scratch, and only then they can continue with the actual restoration measure, which of course is very time and money intensive. Similarly, there can be external factors such as inflation or administrative burdens or difficulties that also make the project team struggle. So then in terms of how the Commission can take next steps to support this is two things, I would say. On the one hand, this is an early area of action, is that the mission can help support by really defining and also helping with protocols for data that is relevant to the mission targets. This is important because this will also help with the future monitoring and comparability of data, be it something like river habitats and geomorphological data or so. And the second, related to funding, is that it would be helpful if all the funding options are bundled and perhaps offered in one-stop shop principle, where for project teams, it's easier to understand what kind of funding is available, and also here the mission can support throughout the entire administrative process, stating or helping with the application process as well already, because that's often where the capacities are lacking. And then lastly, as all of the previous panelists have already mentioned, a lot of successful projects that are running in the Danube. I think it's very important to acknowledge this and to say that it's essential to build up on the existing projects and the existing networks. And this is specifically the ICPDR as a key partner that will help the mission to have good impact, specifically because most of the restoration projects in the Danube River Basin will be of transboundary nature. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for very good advice, very focused, and that gives some thought not only to ourselves, but also to our listeners and our spectators. And they've been active in thinking of the questions that need to be asked. And one of them comes from Patrick, who is asking, what actions do we need in Danube for pollution? And we have the data, but is there a mobilization? In fact, it's a very wide but also very good question. Who would like to try to answer that? Barna.
Yes, also my intervention was exactly on this, that we have projects. We also started to measure issues. We initiated projects on restoration, in pollution, even in economic aspects. But who is mobilizing it? Here we need political commitment. And I must admit that it's not that missing, but different ministries, different sectors, they have their own political commitment behind issues, and then not necessarily coming together and conveying. So here we need a bigger mobilization, and I think the mission can give this, and that's why it's welcome, the mission, because can structure the mid and long-term issues along research and innovation program, and then the different sectors can align. And that's how I see that we need to bring beside the table the policymakers who can advise mobilize the political level also, that this is a political priority and we have to mobilize. And without the policymakers, the only projects in research and innovation, they are not enough. We need to have them around the table. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Barna. Anybody else would like to try to answer this?
I may also add.
Yes, please, Mr. Liska.
When we are talking about the political level mobilization and commitments, I would like to inform that in February this year, we had the ministerial meeting where all the Danube ministers responsible for the implementation of the river basin management plans and the flood risk management plans endorsed the Danube Declaration, which paved the way for the implementation of the measures which are mentioned and published in the Danube River Basin Management Plan. So this is a very clear commitment from the political level towards improvement, a further improvement of the water situation and water status in the Danube River Basin.
Thank you very much. Indeed, also a very, very relevant one. I'll take one more question, and I'd like to ask both Mr. Stanica, but also Teresa Geidel, to try to answer that. What actions do we need in Danube for pollution? And we have the data. No, sorry, that was already asked. Any first actions from the region that could be submitted to a mission charter to help achieve the targets of the Danube Lighthouse? Mr. Stanica already showed so many projects that have been done. What really needs to be prioritized for the charter? And then, Teresa, also, you already gave us 3 tips. A 4th one would also be appreciated. So, to both of you, 1 minute if you can make it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. This is an excellent question, and I need to group many things into 1 minute. So there are projects that have started to identify which are the areas that need the highest priority for intervention. We have been cooperating. I will take, for instance, the lagoon that is south of the Danube Delta is one of the biggest lagoons around the Black Sea, an area of 1,000 kilometers that was closed from the sea, so it's suffering from the input of nutrients, algal blooms, explosions of algae that affect badly the environment. So there, the solution is to reopen, restore the natural circulation. We have been working with modelers, we have been working with fellow scientists. We want to push this on in the mission because the mission will give us the possibility to bring all the actors at the same table. Because as in any case, the technical solution is simple, but it must be selected, discussed, co-created with the locals, with the administrations, with all the actors involved, because it's the only way we can bring in progress. And this is one of the activities that we are gonna put in the Danube for All proposal, push on, and I'm pretty sure it will be a success story that will be taken onward to other river sea systems and transitional waters.
Okay, thanks for that optimistic outlook. Indeed, that's a very, very good advice. Teresa, what's your sort of 4th bonus advice for us? What should be submitted to the mission charter for the Danube Lighthouse?
Yeah, perhaps to complement what was just said, which I very much agree with, is that I think the complexity, be it the tributaries and also the things like source-to-sea approach and so on in the Danube, are something that should really be considered because it's such a complex river system. So I think in a way that enhancing this complexity and thinking about what different tributaries can contribute, or thinking about, let's say, the 25,000 kilometer goal and having a more free-flowing river sections is not only vertical connectivity where fish can migrate and so on, but also thinking about horizontal connectivity, what happens at the bank sides and the bank tops of the Danube River Basin and so on. So thinking, I guess, in a more integrated way overall is something that should be emphasized as a first or next step.
Absolutely fantastic conclusion to that. Even though indeed the finding is pretty simple and straightforward, but it doesn't come that easily because the problem is very complex and requires a lot of different joined up thinking. Now, with this, I would like to try to conclude by saying that clearly, again, one of the conclusions that we can come to, which comes very obvious, but that's the only true recipe for the success, is to continue working together and to have a complex, comprehensive, holistic approach to this issue. And Danube is indeed a unique river. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and Europe should be proud of it, cherish it, and foster it. And we have to make sure that it flows freely and is really, again, our pride in many ways, from the angle of the blue economy, of carbon-free economy, of environmental protection, of restored ecosystems, and anything that this river really deserves to be. This allows me to thank the speakers and to turn over now to my colleague, John Bell, who I would like to ask to conclude this part.
Well, that was a hell of a conversation. I've learned a huge amount, Kestutis. So let's remember what we're talking about here is a once-in-a-generation opportunity in the mission, given to the heart of Europe. I mean, the Danube represents, embodies what we're talking about is the heart of Europe in terms of our nature, our economy, and our society, that we have this part of the mission where you are going to build on the work you've been talking about here, Igor, Teresa, Barna, and Adrian, what is a huge portfolio of work, of organizations, of plans and so forth. The mission is the opportunity to say, what do you want to do to bring this to the level of application and scale, to accelerate, to scale, to move it forward, to get the 25,000 kilometers done? We're going to need to work in a different way. So the mission is a transition sandbox for you to say how you want this to work. And it will only work if we do the things you said. I was very struck, Teresa, what you're saying about the need to simplify the access point for people looking at all these funds. Maybe the mission can do something there, create an easier window into it. We will provide the means to support the projects in the areas that are necessary. But what we need in the mission is we need the communities of practice. Igor, what you're talking about, what's been signed off in the Danube, your communities need to say what you need from the mission and to step into this space and to say, through the Charter, this is what action we would like to commit to, and this is what we need from the mission to do it. I think we need ownership right across what we call the Danube here, which is the lead region on the freshwater system. But it's also a call to action for all the other rivers and freshwater systems across Europe to work with this lighthouse to show and tell what we need to do to get to where we want to. It's also going to require that we give support, I think it's been mentioned, to the science that's needed by communities to make things happen on the ground, to the data that's required, to the education, skills and training that will be needed to develop the ecosystem services and the work, technical assistance and support and capability building where it's needed. But it all comes down in the end to the mobilization of those of you who live and work and own the ecosystems that are there in the freshwater system. So I think this has been a very positive experience, and what I would finish in saying is, look, it's over to you to step in, to come and sign up for the Charter, bring your actions, bring what's there, and let us know what you need to have happen. And let's hope that, as Minister Bordugia said at the beginning, we will have political leadership. Barney, the point that you were making. So there is a platform, there's an opportunity, there are the means, there's the expertise, there's a portfolio, and we see there's the ambition. So let's do it. Kestutis.
And we will. We'll definitely succeed on this one with this spirit.